Ready?
Is it going to just pop up? Or?
I love your hair like that.
Thank you. Welcome to another episode of the Caribbean Edge. We sure appreciate you joining us tonight. I have a confession. Like, I found it very difficult to even put together the words to advertise or market tonight's episode. And so I put certain things like a mom's worst nightmare, the parents, different things that came to mind that I would normally say or have no problem writing. But tonight is just different, heartfelt, and it's the first time that we've had someone on the show that I believe it's such a personal and up-close conversation. So it made it quite difficult to market for this tonight. But we're so glad that you can join us, Tanya.
Yes.
And so we're busy sharing, so I'm just going to chit-chat with you guys. So what I did to advertise tonight's topic is actually use a thank you card put together by the family. And for those that you who haven't read it, I want to share that with you. And it says, love comes in many forms. The blessing of a child is the greatest reward. The loss of a child, the greatest misfortune. We realize now that we're blessed with an angel, our princess Tatiana, gone to pave the way before us. To our family and friends, we thank you for your comforting words, your love and your support. Without you, this would have been so much harder to endure. To our Tatiana, we say farewell, our sweet love. Our lives were better for having you in it, for having had you. Our future much brighter, knowing that you were there to greet us at the gate. So we welcome you, Tanya, to the Caribbean Edge. Nice to have you. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are.
Who am I? That's a good question. Who am I guess you could say, I'm going to take these bracelets off because I hear them making a lot of noise, but I guess you could say I'm multifaceted. I am a former banker. I went and got certified as a life coach, but that's another. We can talk about that later. I paint. I wrote a book, as you saw, the children's book. I help businesses with doing consulting work, and I could go on and on. I don't think we have time for that.
And of course, tonight we have the beautiful Cheryl and Marshall, and I'm Dawn Wilson, for those of you that may be joining us for the first time.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So, you lost Tati. She's also a mom of 3 beautiful girls.
Yes.
And you lost your daughter.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about Tati.
Okay. Now, Tati was my eldest. And I noticed we don't have any tissue here.
I know.
We're going to need it. I noticed both of you have your glasses on. I took mine off. Maybe I need to put it on because... All right, so I'll tell you about Tati. Tati was a very vivacious young lady. You know, she was my first child. And she was the first child in the community, the small group of friends, you know, and so she just kind of paved the way for a lot of our kids and our friends' kids and family members. Wow. And she was what I would call a child magnet, because kids always gravitated to her. Mm-hmm. She was a very bubbly type of personality. She loved hugs. She loved to. She sang. She played the piano. She drew. She painted. An excellent scholar. She was really good in school, focused, and go on and on too there. As a proud mom,
Absolutely.
the eldest of 3 girls.
What's the age difference with the 2 other girls?
Okay, so I was married before,
Okay.
and Tati was a product of that marriage.
Okay.
And then I got remarried and had my 2 others. They're 8 and 10 years younger
Wow.
than Tati.
Okay. Okay.
So tell us what happened. Walk us through it.
Okay, so we're going to jump right in there.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why don't you just get to the point?
If it
won't you?
eased
Just
me
get to
there,
the
but
point.
yeah, okay.
I know.
Tell us what happened.
Mhm.
All right. I don't know how detailed to get.
As detailed as you want to be.
Okay. So I remember the day very clearly, and I was taking my two younger daughters to a birthday party, and Tati was home for spring break, and she was heading back up to school. She was driving, and I spoke to her before I went out to the party. I was just checking in to make sure that she was okay, and I said, okay, let me come off the phone. I don't want you on the phone. Just pay attention to where you're going, and I'll talk to you when you get there. So then we went to the party, and when I thought it was time for her to get where she was going, I gave her a call. She didn't answer. Called again. She didn't answer. So then I was heading back home, and I called my husband, and I said, have you heard from Tati? And he said, where are you? I said, oh, I'm just, a couple minutes away. He said, come home.
Did you know at that point in time? When he said come home?
Right away.
Yes.
I knew something major
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And I was driving home, and I was shaking. I was just shaking. And my 2 little ones in the back seat were like, Mommy, are you okay? What happened to Tati? I said, I don't know. I said, is she okay? I said, I don't know. I just feel like something happened. And I said, it's okay, Mommy, it's okay. And I was just shaking uncontrollably. I was like, just let me get home.
Yeah.
And when I got home, my husband was there, and one of the neighbors and a good friend of ours, and the 3 men were there. And the minute I turned in, I saw everybody run.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, this is not good.
No.
So I went, my husband came to the car, and he said, come inside. And I said, why? He said, just come inside. And I was like, I don't want to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I went inside, and I looked at his face, and that was it. He didn't have to say another word.
Mm-hmm.
I knew exactly what had happened, and I just started screaming, and I really felt like I was going to die. I said I was going to die, and my 2 little girls said, no, you're not, Mommy. You can't die. You can't die. And that's when I turned around, and I just kind of, I don't know where I was in my head, and I turned around, and I looked at them, and I was like, they're right. I can't die, I have these 2 little girls that need me, but in my heart, I felt like I'm dying.
Yes.
So that's what happened.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thanks for the tissue. It's a sad story. It's difficult to talk about. It's not really something that people really want to. They want to hear, but they don't want to hear. They want to ask, but they don't want to ask. So it's good to get it out in the open. So that there isn't that, she's a mom that lost a daughter anymore.
I
You know,
agree.
you know who I am, you know what I dealt with,
100%,
so
yeah.
we can move on from
Yes.
here.
Yes. Let's
And,
address it.
Yeah.
and for her dad, that
Yeah.
was his only child, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How did he take it?
To be honest with you, I really can't speak for him,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I know that it was devastating
Mm-hmm.
for him.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was. And, you know, I never had the conversation with him.
Wow.
Never did.
Right. Right.
But I guess we each have our journey, and I know that he's dealing with it the
His
best way
way.
he knows how. Yeah.
His way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about her sisters. And thank you for being so honest and transparent about this. Because as I see flash on the screen, someone said it's a parent's worst nightmare. I mean, as a parent, I worry about my kids, as I'm sure a lot of parents do. Most people know I have my daughter in New York, and I either check her Instagram page or text her just to make sure that nothing happened to her the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even imagine getting those words or not getting them words, just the look to know something happened. And our kids think that we're bothering them sometimes when we call to check in.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us about her siblings. What did they go through as far as you know? Because sometimes you probably don't even know what they went through.
Yeah, I don't know the depths of what they went through because, believe it or not, they are not really, they have not been really as open to really wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I am one who I want to know. You know, I want to push them and
How
say,
old were they when it happened?
8 and 10,
And Tatiana was?
19.
Wow.
So now they're older. You know, now they're 21 and 23, and you know, they still don't really talk about that day. You know, but they talk about her lovingly, and you know, they're open about their sister, but really talking about what that day meant for them, they still haven't opened up about it.
It's hard to talk about.
Hard to talk about.
What was your faith at the time? Like, were you a Christian before this all happened?
Good question. I have always been a Christian, and deep in my heart of hearts, I may have strayed along the way, but that is my core. And when the accident happened, I got really lost, I think, you know, trying to figure out, well, how could something like that happen? So I really started to evaluate myself and my religion and how I feel about religion. And I think that now, in at the end of it all, I'm still a Christian. I'm still a believer, but I challenge things now. You know, I don't take things for what I am told that it's supposed to mean when you read certain verses and so on, and what Christianity means. I am very confident in saying that this is the way I feel about it, and you either like the way I feel about it or you don't, and that's okay, you know. So, yeah.
So I can only imagine. I think if I was faced with that and being a Christian, I would say why. I would ask all these questions. Why didn't you take me instead? The guilt. Did you have any guilt? Did you have any questions? And what were some of those things that you can share with us for someone that might be going through a similar situation? And then I want to know, like, how did you pull yourself out of the hole? You may still somewhat be in a hole with it, but what are some of the things that helped?
I think that's what you want to tell our guests, why you're here, why you decided to come on the Caribbean Edge and tell your story. I think people are looking to you that have probably friends in similar positions, or that they themselves are dealing with the loss of a child.
Yeah. Well, I'll start over here with Sharon. And I decided to come on the show, firstly because you guys asked so nicely, but also because I just kind of feel like it's time. You know, it's okay now. I am no longer afraid to talk about it. I no longer feel like it's something that I should keep to myself. And I really feel like you really don't get over something until you're ready to talk about it, you know? Yeah. And I will probably never get over this, right? But this is the first step to true healing. And it's been 13 years. 13 years. But it's a journey of a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. It could only be.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, now Dawn, how's your first scene again?
Tell me what were some of the questions that went through your mind over the next couple of days, like, you know, why her? You know, she was an excellent child. She was amazing. Why do this to my family?
Yeah. Funnily enough, I never asked the question why, because of my faith, right? I just figured that this happened, it was my lot, and I just had to deal with it. And I the question why didn't even occur to me.
Wow.
You know, I did though, in all truthfulness, think that I would have been a better candidate than her, or I should have been in that car, you know. But then when you think about it, had I been in that car, that would have been two of us gone.
Yeah.
You know, and how would that have damaged my family? I don't think my family could have survived that. So, dealing with one and my little bright spark was tough, and I had to pull it all together for the kids, you know?
Yeah.
And my husband was a rock. I have to tell you, if he wasn't there beside me that whole time,
You probably would not, yeah.
right?
I know what you mean. I know.
So-
I know exactly what you mean.
So thank
It's
you
okay.
to your
Tears are
husband
good.
for being a rock
Yeah.
for you and the girls through this difficult time.
Absolutely.
I know you thanked your family and friends. What about grandparents?
Well, my mother took it really badly, and you know, I really didn't understand her journey at the time, and it wasn't until she passed that I really understood what she was going through.
Wow.
Because I was with her one day, and she said to me, "Why did this happen to me?" And I looked at her and I thought, what are you talking about? You know, this didn't happen to you. And I was upset with her.
Right.
And then I realized after she passed
Yes, it did happen to her.
that it did happen to her.
Yes.
And it was real for her.
Yes.
You know? But in my own grief,
Yes,
I
you
just couldn't see it.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah.
You could not see that you were in your own grief. And that in itself is a huge mountain that you're trying to get over. There's no way you're going to see the grief that she's going through. There's no way.
I couldn't see it.
Wow.
I couldn't see it.
It's so hard to be there for other people sometimes when you have so much heaviness in your own heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And thanks for your honesty and transparency, because we're grieving ourselves, which rightly so you should, right?
Right.
But we don't realize, you know, one day we'll be grandmothers. And can you imagine if that should happen, that it's not just my daughter, it's my granddaughter as well. And so hopefully she had a support system that understood that as well, because it was too much for you as a mom to see that. There's no way. Wow. I feel like we need to go to commercial break.
I love that commercial break. Let's see, what are we going to have them advertise for us when we're gone?
I just think we're trying to really pull ourselves together. So please bear with us.
We are very together. Mind you, we're just in tears right now, but we're together.
And just checking if we have any questions or comments at this point, which I don't see anything right now. Okay, here we go. So here's a question from Karen Stevens. Thank you, Karen. Anything you want to share that you found helpful in your grieving process?
Okay, so I don't know. I don't think I may have mentioned. I think I mentioned before that I'm a life coach, and I actually stumbled upon that. And when I went through it, I didn't realize that I was still grieving. I thought I had, worked my way through it, and I was, back on track. And that process, the one that I went through, is called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, and that is where it talks about your memory. We store everything in our memory, and we actually store them as mini videos and pictures, right? And they're in the recesses of your mind, and you store them. Sometimes they're conscious, sometimes they're unconscious memories. And they brought up my unconscious memories.
Wow.
And it brought up things that I had blocked, things that happened to me as a child that caused me to think the way I think and deal with things the way I deal with them. And it really, really knocked me down before I could get back up, because it really touched on a part of me that I had just kind of like tucked away because I was going through the motions. So that really helped me, and it made me clue in to the fact that I hadn't dealt with my fears, my grief. And so I learned to cry. I mean, really cry, because I would cry, but then I thought I would think that I came from the school of crying means you're weak.
Yeah.
And although I was a crier boy anyways, but I still had this thought that crying means you're weak, right? And especially in a man's world, right? So I really tried my best not to cry or not to show the emotions that I was holding inside. And once I started letting go and letting that process happen, it really helped me to move forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that too, because I've wondered that myself. I know that I have blocked certain memories, especially as a child,
Yes.
and I think it's to protect myself.
Absolutely.
And so I've always thought, as an adult now, would I venture there? Because I want to know. There's so much that I want to know, and like you said, it helps you understand why you're making some of the decisions that you're making now. Now that's truly powerful. Tonight, I know someone made a comment on here that says they're thanking you so much for sharing such a horrific day, is what Mary Plummer Brooks says. You're very brave. So thank you. You are definitely impacting people's lives. Joan says, Joan Virtue Taylor says, we are all so sad right now just watching and listening to this mother's story. We can't even think of questions. And we definitely understand that, Joan. It's just, I don't know, it's not even questions, just so powerful with you sitting here sharing the emotions that you went through to help us all deal with tragic situations that we're faced with. Let's see. Georgia Williams says, so proud of you, Tanya, for sharing, for the bravery in sharing your story. It gives hope to others who may have experienced similar trauma and tragedy. So thank you for that. Good evening, everyone that's tuned in and making comments.
Thank you so
here.
much for tuning in, everyone.
And Joan says, Dawn, you're singing to the choir. My daughter is now 28 and I check on her every night and morning. And my son still lives at home, and if he goes out, I leave the hallway light on because I'm bound to get up in the middle of the night. And when the light is off, I go to bed peacefully, and he's 25. So I can definitely understand that. As parents, as good parents, we want to know our kids are safe. You made the phone call to make sure she arrives safely. And I tell my kids, you know, if I call you, you better answer your phone because I need to know that you're safe out there. So thank you.
And you know, my two daughters caught hell from me about trying to drive because, you know, having gone through this, it really wasn't easy. But good for her. My middle one, she's you know, a little stubborn, much like her mom, and she is independent. And she was like, Mom, I can do this. It's okay, you know.
Yes.
You don't have to worry. I'll be okay. I'll be careful.
Yeah.
And thank God she has been. And, you know, if it wasn't for her just exerting her independence, because I was really trying to put my thumb on her, you know. Yeah. And if it wasn't for her exerting her independence, my youngest probably would never have driven because I wasn't going to let it happen.
That's fair, but at the same time having to let
I
go.
totally hear you. Yes.
Yeah, they have to learn, and you know, unfortunately, this tragedy is not the way we want them to learn, you know. But I had to trust them and trust that they understood. Yes. You know.
Yes.
On a lighter note, tell us about Tati. What was she like to you as a mom?
What was she like? Really, really just a burst of sunshine, you know. And I'm not just saying that because she was my daughter. She absolutely was. Right. She was very outgoing.
When is her birthday?
October 22nd.
Just passed.
Yeah. And she and I were close. as far as mothers and daughters go. And believe it or not, she pretty much came to me with everything. So, I had my little buddy there.
Yes.
And, it's kind of tough to lose your buddy.
Yes.
She was involved with everything. She and her friends in high school started a Caribbean students organization. She was modeling. She entered the Miss Carnival, the 2 pageants, Broward and Miami.
She did.
She sure did. And she kept going, boy. She was going to keep on going. She was first runner-up for each one, and she was heading for the next one.
Right.
And she just didn't understand that there was anything that she could not do.
Right.
If it didn't happen today, it wasn't going to happen today. It will happen the next time. And she just kept going. And that is something that I really admired, and that is something that I hold true for myself. And every time I stop and I hear my little voices in the back saying, "This is not for you," I stop and go, "Wait a minute, why not?"
Right.
Right. So she really did influence me as I influenced her. I think it was equal. It was pretty equal.
What do you miss the most about her?
What do I miss the most? Oh my gosh, how do I start? Besides everything, I miss the big sister that my younger daughters had.
Yeah.
And I think they too miss that big sister role, and it's other family members and friends have stepped in and done a good job, but to them that's a little hole there, and if I could have prevented that,
I know you would have. Yeah.
That's what I miss the most.
Thank you. Just I need another commercial. Paula says she's sending you a tight hug, my friend.
Oh, thanks, Paula.
I think we all need hugs.
We all need a hug right now. It's good conversation, though.
Yeah.
It is. I think about one of our family members dying before the other, and I think to myself, and there's no right way. I think we should all die together.
Right?
Yeah.
That would
I
make
think we
life
should
so
all
much
die
easier.
together, and that's exactly what Sydney has said a couple times when we're flying or like whenever we're taking trips separate or together. She thinks the same, and she's like, I think we should all die because I don't want to die by myself, and then you guys die and leave me here. And she's like, neither one is gonna work, so we just all need to go together. I'm like, I get it, you get it.
Doesn't quite happen that way, though. So.
Oh my God! But the fact that you've gotten through it, let me tell you, is prime example of if he brings you to it, he will bring you through it.
Absolutely.
You said your husband was the rock. Oh my God! He brought you through it. He knew that he took you to it. He brought you through it. He gave you the right man to help you through it. The right kids.
Yeah.
The right friends.
So, Anne-Marie says, thank you so much for sharing. I can't imagine the loss of a child. I have 2 girls and constantly worry about them. So that's been echoed everywhere for us parents, not just moms, but parents. And Adelia said, you are all survivors of great trauma. Tanya, Tati left her mark in all of us. She was well loved and will never be forgotten. Love, light, and prayers for all of you. Miss you, neighbor. So thanks for tuning in and for sharing that.
Yeah.
One said a Scorpio girl for sure. Karen Stevens says, my last conversation with Tati was about her plans of doing an internship with a fashion magazine in New York. Thank you, Karen, for sharing
Yep,
that.
that's true.
Fun stuff.
And Zaruna Ali says, I can't imagine how you feel. I have only one daughter and would be crushed, but prayers for strength for you. Chinlu, as a dad of 2 girls, I just can't imagine losing either one. And Zarun says, she makes me a better woman and mother for her daughter. So thank you for all our viewers. Any last minute thoughts that you'd want to share with anyone that may be going through this? What helped you the most, besides your strong husband and your beautiful daughters, that made you know, Mom, you still have 2 daughters, and that's the strength you needed to pull you through?
Definitely understanding that we're all here for a reason, you know, and the reason is not by any means to give up on being here. And you know, everybody at some point in life stops to think, well, why am I really here, you know? And it's not so much why you're here to me as it is what you do while you're here. That's important.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are here and that we are here means that we are here to give purpose to something or someone, right? And even if we're going through hard times, we're not alone. Everybody at some point in time is going through hard times. And just understand that it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can breathe.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah. This is life. This is
life.
Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to grieve.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to cry.
To be upset.
Yeah. To
feel what you feel.
Right.
Feel it. Let
it happen.
Yes.
It's a part of the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. It takes a while before you get to that point.
Yeah.
Experiences, time, people that you meet, all of that is, I believe, it's a contribution to that point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Natalie Bullock says, thanks for sharing your story. Continued blessings to you and your family. Her memory lives on forever. So thank you. For me personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You're definitely an inspiration to me, because just the thought of being faced with this, I just put it out my mind, and I would think I would be angry. I would say, take me. And then I just stopped. I'm like, no, this isn't going to happen, because I don't want to even know. But seeing you and hearing you as someone that went through this and being able to, even though it took years and time to even get to where you are, being powerful enough to share that with us to help inspire us and motivate us to pull ourselves out. I can't thank you enough for sharing it with us, so thank you.
My pleasure. I want to share one last thing.
Yes.
Please.
I take her with me a lot, you know. Today, I'm wearing her earrings.
Oh.
So that's a little something for me. And I noticed that I don't even do it consciously anymore. It's something that's just become who I am. You know, I will take a part of her with me all the time.
Always.
Yeah.
And more so in your heart.
That's right. That's forever.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Caribbean Edge. We appreciate you.
Take good care, everybody. Take good care. And any questions you have, feel free to send us a message or comment. Let us know. Like and share us. I think this story is beyond heartfelt, and I hope we taught at least one of you something. We showed at least one of you something.
before we sign off, sorry. Someone very important logged in and made a comment. Tanya Ragbeer says, Mommy, I don't know if I can read it. You are the strongest.
Let me read it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Mommy, you are the strongest and most inspirational woman I know. Thank you so much for being our rock. I love you unconditionally.
Love you, Nats. And Beanie.
We're signing out.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Take good care. Ciao for now.